Hello, friends and viewers. Welcome back to our series on New Hampshire Landlord 101. We have a series of videos that are informational in nature, informational and educational, help you be a better property owner, better tenant, better property manager, better landlord, and better investor. The series is provided by Ledgeview Commercial and Porcupine Real Estate. Today, we're lucky to have with us Brittany Ping, one of the co-owners of Ledgeview Commercial. Welcome back, Brittany.
Thanks so much, Mark.
Our topic today is about security deposits. Now, I remember historically back in the day, people used to say first, last, and security. That's what the landlord would ask the tenant to come up with. But we find out it's different in every state. So what are the rules here in New Hampshire?
So in New Hampshire, for someone to move in, you can only require 1 month's rent and a security deposit no greater than the monthly rent rate. So you're really, you're stifled. That's the maximum. Now, somebody could voluntarily provide you with more. You're not going to get in trouble, but you cannot force someone to pay you more than that amount.
Interesting. It's weird because in other states, there are about 38 states that allow up to 2 months of rent worth of a security deposit, including some of the states nearby who are much more liberal in their laws, like Vermont and Massachusetts. But for some reason, in New Hampshire, we're stuck on that maximum 1 month. So question for you is that a danger to a property owner, a landlord, let's say? Because it's easy to imagine a tenant causing damage to the unit that costs way more than 1 month's rent. What do you do in those situations?
So in those situations, you have to deal with the collections or small claims process, right? Which could cost even more, right? Than, just trying to provide that extra, damage amount in addition to a security deposit on hand. Or also, if rents keep increasing, right? We've had people whose rents are, $500, $600 more a month, and it's just the way that it is, then their security deposit. So you can gradually move people's security deposits. That's the thing I've helped owners with as well. But ultimately, you're only able to recoup what you hold if there are damages above normal wear and tear, or if somebody, leaves a lease, right? They break a lease and you have a lease break clause. Even that might still be much more than the security deposit you have on hand.
Well, a few years back when I was in the New Hampshire legislature as a state rep, I was a prime sponsor on a bill to allow landlords to require up to 2 months. And the whole point was they don't have to. They can stick with 1 month, 1.5 months, no deposit, just leave it up to the landlords. And we had a lot of people come in and testify to the points you just made, which is it's easy to exceed the cost of a deposit. Some pets, for example, are very destructive, both cats and dogs. Some people are just bang walls and rip off doors, and they don't pay you the last month's rent.
Yeah.
So then you're trying to pull the back rent and damages from security. It wasn't enough. But that bill fell flat for some reason. I think it's something that's worth continuing to try as landlord associations push that legislation, but there seems to be a lot of resistance.
So you mentioned a great point, right? So landlords cannot charge a pet deposit, right? Because a pet deposit would be in excess of that monthly rent and security deposit. So it's a piece that also plays into the fact that if an owner wants to accept the risk of accepting pets, right, they can charge a monthly pet rent, but ultimately they don't have any recourse for, having that peace of mind by having a pet deposit that somebody could very reasonably get back. One of the things when you think about from a tenant perspective on why it's a benefit for a landlord to accept more than just a traditional security deposit, right, to be able to accept up to 2 months worth of it, that first last security deposit, is that maybe somebody with lower credit, right? Or somebody who's only, I'm moving for a job, right? But I'm able to pay you more up front. It is a tricky thing where, I have to say, I'm only going to accept this amount from you because I don't want it to look like I'm requiring that you provide me with that money up front for you to get this lease, right? So it does create an opportunity for a tenant that maybe they don't have, a rental history. Maybe they don't have a job history in the area. Maybe they've come from being a homeowner to being a renter, and some, landlords might get worried and they might say that person's going to buy a house within a few months, right? Being able to say like, hey, I understand you're taking a risk, landlord, and I'm willing to bring you more money up front to secure that rental. And that allows an owner to be less nervous, less cautious about saying, I don't want you to think I'm forcing you as, maybe a less desirable applicant to provide me with that income, that additional income up front. I don't want to go against state law. So I think that it's not just saying, hey, landlords need this opportunity, but tenants, it's preventing an opportunity for someone to show that they're less risky by offering more upfront.
Well, that's really great information. And in closing, I'll add one other point of information, because we have a lot of do-it-yourself landlords, first-time investors, that in New Hampshire, you're required to keep the security deposit in a separate bank account from your operational bank account. So it's rarely enforced, and it's not like the government's cracking down on that, but best practices, the right way to do it is keep your security deposit in a separate account. And eventually when that tenant moves out, you're actually supposed, if you return the whole thing, pay them a little bit of interest.
Yeah, so
interest is 0.01%, so it's like a nickel or something, but you should know the details before you get into it if you're going to try to do it yourself.
Yeah, so it does, just extra points. It needs to be in an interest-bearing account with a bank, like with a physical location in the state of New Hampshire, and separate from operating accounts. And it doesn't have to be an investment interest, right? I think our interest rates for security deposit accounts are 0.01%, right? That's a shocker to our tenants, right? When they get their deposit back, like, you gave me 3 cents. Yep, that is what the interest was. So,
yeah.
Just a good reminder there.
Well, again, that's great information. We have this whole series for landlords and property managers and investors out there. The link to that will be down below in the scrolling crawler, tinyurl.com/NH Landlord 101. Brittany Ping from Ledgeview Commercial. Again, thank you very much. It's always great to talk.
Thank you.